Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Inverness Disc Golf Course. I'm Pete Collins, and I thought I'd put together this little walkthrough for you in case you're coming here maybe to play a tournament or you just want to know what the course is like. This is a little walkthrough to help you out. I hope you enjoy it, and since this is my first video that I've done like this, please give me a little grace. I'm more of a photographer than a videographer, but I thought this might be helpful to some, and hopefully you enjoy it. So let's go out on the course. So on this hole you're going to have a tough little shot up the hill. It's tight with OB on the right. You're just going to want to carry it on up the hill as far as you can. To be honest, this is where most people will probably land, and then you've got a decision about, do you want to throw a little shot and set up for the next one or try to throw even farther. I would recommend just getting set up for the next shot by throwing up just a little ways up. Now we're coming to the second tee, which is a shorter tee set up right here. This is just a straight shot down the road. Basket's set up to the right. Oftentimes it'll be set up to the left, but it's still just a punch down the road. Watch OB on the right. This is where my first shot landed. This is a great place to be. So for beginners, I would definitely start on the short holes, because the long holes, especially hole number 1 and number 2, will really drive you crazy. They take a lot of finesse to get up and around here, and especially with this OB on the right, it can be treacherous, especially when you look at the drop off down here. You spend a lot of time chasing your disc down the hill. A lot of times your disc will bounce off this ledge over here if you're a left-handed thrower. Pick a roll and go right OB. So you just got to be careful of that. Here's the right pin position. The other pin position is up here on the hill. So let me back up and show you that. It would be basically trying to come through this gap right here, over this ledge if I don't trip, and up through here with the landing pad and the tee right down here, with a slope away from it down into the ditch where a lot of discs will land if you can get the distance to get here. So now I'll backtrack. Try not to die coming down the hill. And we're now back in the middle. So it's simply a carry on to here. happen to get a pretty good drive, and I will take that every day of the week. So that's hole number 1. Alright, I think for the sake of the video I'm going to stop playing and just walk you through things. So once you finish with the basket on hole number 1, you're going to leave this way. We've got a sign up that says hole number 2 this way. So you're just going to move down here, cross this little gravel road, and then when you get to the other side, you've got a choice of going to the right to the short tees or the left for the longer tees. We're going to go back to the long tees, and it's left and straight up the hill here. Okay, another tight, tough beginning drive. You're going to want to drive down and try to get it to bank to the left once you get past those 2 trees. So here we go. Number one thing you want to try to aim for is just get to the top of the hill, past this pine tree on the right, so you have a chance to have a cleaner shot down the fairway on the next one. Oftentimes you'll get a kick off the trees, it will send you down into this gully and leaves you with really no chance but to throw it back up this hill. So if you can get past this tree with a little bit of hyzer, come through here, and it opens up, you really want to try to get in this area here if you can, right in front of this tee pad. Many times the disc will end up ricocheting and end you on this tee pad or near it. So you really get a chance to kind of hone this shot in. From here, the basket is straight on back. It's right over there. If I raise up a little bit, right back there. So this is pretty much a straight shot from the short tees. The slope of the ground will affect you visually, tend to pull it to the left. But if you can throw a nice straight shot through, you'll be in great shape. And to be honest, unless you've got a long throw, you're almost better to stay up on the hill here than to try to get up that hill, because anything up there will just get knocked back down and roll. Alright, sorry about that, getting a little bright, so I had to make an adjustment. So the slope of this hill tends to send everything cascading down into this area, especially for a left-hander. Even though you're coming into the hill like this, it tends to set up and roll back down. So if you can get something set up in here, this is not a bad shot to then be able to just punch straight across up to the basket there. Most throws end up gathering down here in this lower area here and along the ditch, which is not the end of the world as long as you've got a clear gap to get through. Now here's the view from down at the bottom. It's hard to see on the video, but this is probably about a 35-40 foot elevation change. So you want to throw it higher than you think. And with all the roots and the slope, a lot of times that disc is going to take off that way. So you just got to be careful about how your disc lands. And so you can see all the roots on the ground make this landing a little bit treacherous. I'm going to show you the look from back behind. So that's what it looks like from where you came. And that's hole number 2. From hole number 2, you're simply going to head uphill a little bit more. These first 2 holes give you quite a workout, so most people are out of breath by hole number 3. Here we have the 2 tee pads almost side by side. This one is set up for the shorter placement. It's Straight shot, basket's right back over there, so it's down the hill and back up, but it gets really quick right over the top of that hill, so you got to be careful with your touch. Got two pine trees guarding the fairway. If you can get through those and just right up the hill, you're in great shape. Basket's right over there. A couple things to watch out for. Can get slick footing, lots of roots. Just keep an eye out for those things. Snakes every once in a while, but overall mostly by water, so you're okay here. Here we come. This area here is where you want to land, kind of on this plateau here. Try to snuggle up as close as you can to the basket, but as soon as you get over the lip of this hill, it runs very quickly down to the left, so you gotta watch out. All right, from hole number 3, we're gonna head down the hill. I'll come over the hill. Got our first tee placement. It's a long straight shot down here. The basket's tucked back into the woods back here. I should make mention the flags. This is right before the Mega Bowl, so they got the flags set up, blue and green over here. You'll notice at each tee pad they'll be designating who will be playing what tees. Here's one of the tee signs for number 4. Now the other tee placement is right over there. Both of these shots require a good bit of disc control, but also speed control. A little bit less now that it's in the longer position. When the pin's in the shorter position, which is right up in the opening up ahead, the discs like to slide on through and keep going by. But this one's got a little more stopping in the position where it's at. Here's second tee. So a lot of people like to just throw a forehand. Just let it Scooby on down here. I'm gonna switch over, let you see from this side. If we're coming back up from the hill, you can see pretty decent elevation change from the tee pad up there. Down here, it's just a straight shot down through this gap with the landing area up ahead. Pretty straight with a little bit of turn maybe in the beginning, and then hyzering out at the end. Coming down right through here, you should be able to start to see the collar for the original, well, not the original, but the other pin placement right there. And this one is simply a little bit farther down in the trees. There is a road off to the right, and during a tournament, the road can be considered OB, but it take a very unfortunate bounce to get over there. From this basket, then move over to hole number 5. Long position, hole number 5 is right here. Get a little lower so you can see the tee pad. And we have a sign here that says if there are cars behind that fence, because cars come through the fence down there to go fishing, so you just cannot throw when a car's there. The other tee pad's up ahead. This, we're going over that fence down there and down by the ditch. So it's basically a straight shot over a fence. So a little bit tight through the trees. And then just a closer similar shot from the short position. You'll be able to see the basket a little bit better from here. Just over the fence, straight ahead, Should be right there. Now another alternate position is going to be tucked in right back here, which is just simply a little flick around that last pine tree and let it drop in. But for the tournament, they send it back deeper. With the elevation change, we're probably about 25 feet, 30 feet, I'm guessing. I'm not the most accurate in all these things, and I'm also trying not to die. All right, so now open field. You can see this is where they'll put the short position pin, and so it's just simply a cut on in here from up high, drop right in there. But this fence was put here to protect cars that kept getting hit, and so you either need to go over it or come around the side. A lot of people prefer to just throw a a flick that comes around and dies over to the right here. And so here's the landing. Got to watch out, instant drop off past it. Still got some green, but then you can go right into the little creek there, which is out of bounds, and a third pin position right there. But so this is what it looks like back towards the tee. Up over the hill, bring it in here, and just watch out for the poison ivy as well. All right, so now we're going to move on to tee number 6. There's the parking area back here. I should have showed you that. I'll do that later. So tee number 5 comes out here, and you have a choice of going around to the left, around the trees here, or going through that gap. The gap's definitely tempting, but it has tempted a lot of discs into that creek and into that tree. So your choice here. Sorry for the cuts, I'm just having to change some settings. Actually go throw some stuff in the car. So now we're approaching the short tee. Road is out of bounds. There is wire up ahead, rope up ahead to show the creek on the right is out of bounds. So here we go, back up, show you the tee. All right, so it's a straight drive with a little hyzer at the end. Practice basket over on the left. Ideally for your short drive, probably want to land in this area up here so you have a nice clean shot at the basket. And like I said, this creek on the right side is out of bounds. Got it roped off for the tournament. So you want to get through these trees guarding it. This is the best gap to come through. The nice thing is it's an upslope. It'll slow down your disc and give you a little backstop. Once again, the road is out of bounds. And so that's number 6. Take a look at it back towards the back. So long tees back over there, short tees right over there. All right, we now turn to the right and just head on to hole number 7. Short walk across the road. Number 7 from the long is definitely a tricky shot. You're going to go up this hill, and then it's going to jog to the right and then back to the left to get back into the fairway. So, and it's good elevation uphill. So to get it up and around and then set up for the next shot is really tricky, especially with these trees guarding it. We had a lot of trees come down in the last little bit, so they're clearing them out. But you always got to be aware of footing, but also what's going on overhead. So for the long, you can keep going straight. This is off to the short tee pad. But so you want to come up here and try to at least get in this area where it opens up a little bit so you can head down the fairway. I'm going to move back over to the short tee, right over here. And from this tee, it's straight down past that pine tree down there and then jogs to the right where the pin is right now. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit to the left past those two skinny ones at the end. So we're either here for the long one or here for the shorter one, but it's a wraparound shot. Most people will throw, if you're right-handed, throw a good heavy flick. It comes down here and then cuts hard at the end. I use this tree as a marker for where to make the turn to head towards the basket if it's down in the right position. Otherwise, it's going to be tucked back in that light area back there, right in there. Everything slopes down from here, so if you can get past this tree, everything tries to funnel down to this area. Got some logs and stuff that act as backstops back here. And I generally aim for this little lichen-covered tree with a little lean, because stopping right there is not a bad idea. The road's down there, but it would take a lot to get down there, but just be aware. All right. Looking back towards the tee, coming in this way. And then we're going to move on to hole number 8. Just a little bit away through the path. Long position. This hole is set up currently where it's a very uphill hyzer. Starting from here, it's going to go down, turn left while it climbs up the hill. Pin pad number 2, tee pad. Up the hill, you really want to get over this hill if you can. The tree's on the left. You want to try to use that last tree at the top of the hill, just right in the middle there, as your turning point to get around there. Otherwise, you're going to turn too early and get caught in a lot of this junk over here. It's going to make a very difficult next shot. But if you can get around this last little pine tree right here, oak tree, some kind of tree, maybe maple, you're going to land in here. Obviously, I am not a tree expert. The short pin placement is right here behind this other undeterminate tree that I'm not going to try to name. And so that's really a great place to land for both shots, because once you get here, for the long placement, we got to go up the hill. One of the things about this hole is everything sweeps down and to the right. And so you throw a good shot and it could end up rolling down and getting down in these bushes, and you've got a little extra work to get back up the hill. So just be aware of that. You really want to try to get as close to the left side as you can here so you have a decent approach. Even though it's kind of blind, you can come up the hill and the basket's going to be behind this big old knotty tree here that I call J-Lo. So you got your choice of going through this side on the left or doing more of a hyzer over here to the right. The nice thing about this is that the bushes and stuff in the back act as a good stopping point for your disc, so you can run a little bit more, you can run a little stronger and know that you probably got a good stopping option behind the basket. So this is a look from where the disc will be coming in from that side. And now we're going to move on to hole number 9. Long position, this is where you've got to have good control, because otherwise you're going to catch some of these trees and spend a long time looking for your disc and be in jungle when you find it. So we're going straight down and straight up that hill up ahead. Alright. There is a deep creek ravine on the left here that I'll show you coming up. And so you really want to be aware of that, especially during tournaments, standing water. If it's surrounded by water, it's OB, but also it is just a major pain to try to get yourself out of there. So if you're gonna miss, I would miss to the right. Take a little look, it starts to get jungle and drop off in here. Just be aware, and these trees love to throw things back in that creek. And the thing is, it's not that far of a throw, 175, but because it's on that slope, it likes to throw everything away down towards the creek, so your landing is very critical here. They will also put it up on top of the hill to the right, but it hasn't been there for a while, so I can't speak to that right now. The good news is the gnats are not bad, and I've only got 2 in one eye, so I'm going to keep walking. So as you can see, there's a creek running down here, and it's actually very deep. It's probably about 8 feet deep in areas, and so you just got to be aware that it is a disc eater, and you might end up having to climb down in there. So now usually, even if you land up here on the hill, the disc loves to roll back to the left or even Scooby to the left, so I'm going to stay low. You've got all these little groups of trees over to the left that create a treacherous shot from down there. You got to find a right hole to get through. And then here's the basket sitting on this precarious little bump here. Most folks try to get into this little ditch just here to the left because it will hold the disc better than just about any other place. Especially with these roots and stuff, you just have to be very careful. So many discs just roll right down into that creek or across the bridge. I'll give you a shot from back on this side. So as you can see, not a great area to land, because this doesn't even do justice on how sloped this is. So just be aware on the landing. All right. Now I'm going to go to the long position. This is actually where the T-pad split. The short goes, sorry, let me get this where you can actually see what's going on. There we go. The short goes up the hill and is really an easier throw down the hill, whereas the long comes through here. And it's going to take a little bit more finesse to get it down there. Alright, so now tee number 10, we're going to go straight down. Basket is sitting right over there. There's another basket that goes over to the left, and I'll show you those. So long straight drive, I would really recommend staying a little right versus left. Once again, the whole jungle theory, trying to stay out of trouble because it gets dense over there and hard to recover. We've got the little creek running through here, and we just had a rain, so the water level is higher, and that little ditch is actually pretty deep. But once again, if your disc is surrounded by water, it's considered OB. All right, so you can see it's pretty straight. Everything's sloping back down towards the creek as it tends to do. So landing in this area is not a bad place, just kind of aiming for this tree right here is a good throw for most people and will set you up nicely for the next shot. Basket is tucked in this group of trees, but it's a nice, fairly forgiving little area. Disc will tend to roll down towards the creek a little bit. Now the other basket, other pin placement will be right there across the creek, which adds a whole another dimension. All right, but now I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna go back up to the other tee pad. All right, so from the top of the hill, the shorter basket, shorter tee, straight down the hill with two trees right in the middle, acting as the little block. A lot of folks will throw a flick with a stable disc, so they come around here, let it get down this curve, and then fade back to the right if the basket's on the right. Otherwise, something that'll carry straight once it turns a little bit, hyzers a little bit, carries across the creek. Now what's interesting about this land down here, right past this stump, if you were to throw a disc that wants to skip, it'll actually flatten your disc and throw it a little bit right. So trying to throw a skip shot right at this stump is not a bad shot for getting across that creek. Anyway, just my thoughts. Not necessarily saying you should do it, but it's a fun option. So now, straight across the creek for the one pin placement, or tucked right back here in these trees for the other. All right, let's move on to tee number 11. All right, so I had to leave to go play a little ultimate. I know, divided interest. But in the meantime, the rain has come in, but I figured I'd go ahead and come back out and finish these holes so you could see them in case somebody wanted to see this before the tournament. So I apologize for the sound of the rain on the umbrella. I figured I'd at least get you some shots of what's going on here. So this is a long tee right here on number 11. Straight up the hill. These trees make it tight coming off the tee pad. Once you get up into this area, everything wants to throw things down into the trees again to the right, but it's fairly open into this area here. I'm gonna move over to the short tee. You can start to see the basket up here. So we're just a little bit to the left over here for the short tee. Straight shot with some trees guarding the basket. Short tee for hole number 11. The other pin placement for this is right up at the top of the hill on the left, right on that ridge, which makes it precarious. If you don't get up on that ridge, this will start to roll down the hill. So you just got to be careful about that. But for right now, it's tucked back here behind these trees. So you could either be coming in from this way, or I like to try to land in this area right up here so that it works towards the basket a little bit for me. Take a shot back from the other way. And that's hole number 11. So we're going to go straight through that little gap right up there and then down that tight fairway. I'm going to try to get down past that crooked tree a little bit if we can, but to be honest, the biggest thing is to try to get through this gap. So once you get through here, it opens up a little bit. To be honest, landing up on this second hill right here, if you've got good flat footing, it's a great place to be. A lot of times stuff will end up down in this little ditch right here. Makes it a little tougher to have a viable second shot that you can see anything. So now it drops down into this little gully. The short pin placement is just over there on the left and about there, and the long position is way back over here, and we're going to show you both sides of this. I'm going to come up here and then I'm going to backtrack to the other tee. Okay, so here's the short tee from number 12, and it's just a nice punch through here. This really, the best thing to do for this is to try to aim for that second hill. Just get through these trees with something that fades a little bit and get up on that hill for a good look at a long throw for the basket on the next throw. So a good controlled throw up here to the top of this hill, or even a little bit further down into the space between these two hills, is an ideal place to be. We've got the short basket right here, which is a nice little flip hyzer in there from the short position. But so up here is a great place to be because you've got good footing, nice and flat. Once you start getting down here, it gets a little more treacherous as far as where you're standing. A lot of the discs like to come over here, which then cuts off your sight line for the basket, and you got to throw a harder hyzer. Whereas if you can stay down here, you can see the basket just peeking over the hill right about now, up in the very top left corner. And so you can throw a little flatter hyzer up there, or even a sidearm, depending on what you like. So this is the area to try to aim for. Like I said, only the really big arms are going to be able to get up over this ledge. Doable, definitely doable, and great advantage if you can get up here. But then you're going to just want to do a little flip hyzer up here. Alright, so you're up here on the top of this ledge, and I'll give you a view from back, heading back. Apologize for all my heavy breathing. It's tough carrying all this gear and hiking this thing. Trying to go as fast as I can so I don't bore you too much, but here's the basket from behind. And we're going to move to 13. And we're at the short tee for 13. See if I can get you a good angle. So we're just going to go right down the middle of the fairway through the trees, and then it's going to fade off to the left as it goes over the hill there. Not too much. You see from the sign, it's pretty much a straight shot with a little bit of a fade to the left at the end. And I'm going to show you the other side as well. Alright, so here's the long position And so you can see kind of the contour of the hill at the end there. Really, where you see that fallen log on the top of the hill kind of points to the basket a little bit. So let me back up and let you get a better shot of the tee pad. All right. So now, just a straight throw, something that stays fairly straight and then just fades at the end as it gets to that hill. So it'll snuggle on down to the basket. Now, I apologize for all you left-handed folks. I am speaking as a righty, so take everything I say and reverse it if you can, or throw a flick. I know it's hard being a lefty, but easier on some things. But I apologize. I've tried to think about saying for both of them, and I can barely get out the correct terminology even when I'm speaking about one of them. So, all right, so you can see the basket popping up down that trail right here, but I'm gonna come back over here. This is really the flight line up here, hopefully. Come over the hill and then just let it fade on into the basket over here. Same thing, I'm gonna look back up the hill. There is the tee pad up there. And so we're just gonna come down. Yep, let's get this. I had to switch hands. Just come snuggling on down here. Now the thing is, it does like to run through this, so you very much want to land early around here and let it Scooby snuggle down into back here. The good news is, once it gets by, it usually stops because of all the junk and stuff behind it. However, you do have brush and stuff that can get in your way and cause a little trouble coming back, but you are throwing back up the hill. It tends to be a more forgiving putt. And I'm sorry I'm not as coordinated with my left hand holding an umbrella with my right. So here we go, back up towards the basket and back up towards the tee. Here we go, 14. The long tee pad is really just, we're going straight up and we're gonna hides are out a little to the right, but it's really pretty much a straight shot. If you aim for that tree up there and let it fade off to the left, you're gonna be in good shape. Definitely be prepared to hike, walk, and have good soles on your shoes because it can get slippery around here, even when it's not raining. All right, second tee pad. This is more, it's pretty straight. The basket's right through those trees. Let's get that. Right through those trees up there between those two. So it's almost a little, you can do a little turnover shot and let it straighten out, or throw a sidearm, but it's pretty much straight up the hill here. Everything wants to throw it to the right, so it really does funnel down to the other pin placement. Right down here is where the other basket will be. Alright, so just a little fade over up this hill. Landing in this area here will snuggle you up to the basket nicely. Got some good trees guarding it, but plenty of room to maneuver to get a good putt. And that's 14. Here's the basket. And to go to the long tee, you head off back to the right. Alright, and here is the tee box for 15. And so it's pretty much a straight shot with a little fade at the end, depending on which basket. If it's on the A position, it's a little to the right, but you pretty much want to just shoot a nice straight flyer down here. Ground is sloping to the left, which for righties is going to push your hyzers even farther down into the jungle. It's not as much jungle as the other places, but a lot of trees, but you still usually have pretty decent opening to escape down here. But if you can throw something with a little bit of a turnover so that it comes down here and fights back to the right, it really sets you up in a good position. So you just keep going down this straightaway, and not too far down would be the basket on the right. But here's the other tee right over here. All right. So from this tee, oftentimes the basket is right over there. It's a short little flippy shot, but the ground likes to throw it to the left. But now this one is off to the left. So it's going to be over here. So right here, or just 10 feet over, is the other fairway from the other tee pad. And just come down here, and you want something to get up over this hill, this ridge a little bit, and then start fading down to the left. This is where the terrain actually helps you a lot by naturally funneling it down. Where that brush of trees is on the ground is right near the line. Just behind it is where the other basket is. But for now, this basket is tucked back right over here. So this is the most natural lane to come through, but it's still going to want to push things down to the right away from the basket. And it immediately drops off on the back side of 15. Good news is it's a nice green flat zone, but then you can keep going and end up in an 11 fairway if you're not careful. So here's the basket. Try to get around here without busting my butt. So you can look at it from the back side. So this is basically what it looks like. Now I've got to be careful because it drops off right after this basket, so I'm going to go right over here. But this is kind of what it looks like coming down the hill through this alley. Okay, now from hole number 15, we're going to head up the hill. And at the top of the hill is where we get a lot of confusion with people not sure where to go, because the short tee for 17 is just off to the left, but at the top of the hill you want to turn right. So don't go that way, even though it looks close and friendly. You want to go over here to the right. Alright, and so hole number 16, basically from here it's a straight shot on the left hand side there, and the short tee will be on the right hand side. But we're just going through that gap straight ahead, and the basket is tucked right back here in that opening. So it's a straight narrow shot right down through the middle. I like to aim for that piece of grass with that pine tree in it as a good visual marker. So this is pretty straightforward. You can see the basket. I'm gonna come over here, let's see if you can see it. Yep, right past that tree, right there on the grass, and we'll see it from over here. But I'm gonna move over to the short tee. All right, so here's the same hole, but right over here on this tee pad, and it's going to be a hard say that and then I can't even get things going. Hard highs are around there. Usually something up here that then fades off is going to be a good shot. However, this is really treacherous because there's water down over here and everything wants to slope that way. You'll see in a minute. It's also a treacherous trail to walk on. You want to be very careful when you come down here. Used to be coal mines around here. Just found that out the other day. Thanks, Darren, for that little tip. But so this part especially, just be very careful with your footing. But you can see, once you get past here, you hit any of these trees, they're just all going to ping pong around and send it down into this ditch with water down here. The other basket position is usually right there, right on the edge where that log helps stop some stuff, but a lot of discs go into the water from over here. This log saves so many people's discs, but also can catch a disc and just send it right into the water. There are loads of discs that disappear into that water all the time. Alright, so now back over here. Oh, we've got some good water on the lens. Alright, so you see just how everything slopes this way. So you want to try to get it up on this grassy area, but it just wants to throw it back down the hill. And it's just a pain in the butt to try to get things to stop up here. That's the whole fairway back up the hill. For the other one, just come right through here. You can land in this area by this tree. You can be in good shape. All right. Z16 with the water. Everything likes to head that way. All right, let's go on to 17. So it's basically straight up the hill for the safe play. Let's look at the sign. So up here and then curl around there. So some guys will try to cut through, but more power to you if you can do it, because especially now you can see it is just overgrown. It does, let me back up. It does open up through here because we're going that way. So later on in the season, might be some openings for you. So you really want to try to just get through this gap, get through these trees, and if you can, get up here on the top of the hill, because you just have a wall of trees that you have to try to navigate through unless you can get past them up here. So once again, you're almost aiming for the other tee pad, because even landing here, you still don't have enough room to get around. You really need to try to get up into this area so you've got some room to play to get around to the basket. So now the basket is behind these trees about here. Sometimes it'll be here and here, but right now it's going to be right back here. Tell you what, that dot of water is killing me. Just a moment. Okay. Hopefully that's better. All right, so now what I see a lot of people do, and I try to do, is throw a sidearm cut around here, but it really keeps traveling around too far, so you need to throw an understable disc if you're going to do that and let it flatten out, or my preference is to throw a turnover, slightly stable disc, like a rock or something, that can get around this turn and then flatten out. And you'll see what I'm saying in a minute. Oh, here comes the rain again. Falling on my camera like a memory. All right. So you want to turn around here, but then the disc tends to want to keep going around if you're throwing a sidearm, highs or something like that. These trees can really play ping pong with your disc. But if you can get a little turn and then let it straighten out and glide, this is your line right here. Otherwise, you end up in this stuff over here and down that hill. It just feeds over there, or you end up in junk over here. But if you can get a nice glide right through the middle here and Scooby on into the basket, hopefully it'll stop before it gets past the basket. Got a nice little dance floor for putting. Just a few trees can frustrate you a little, but it's not too bad. All right, looking back up the hill towards the other tee. It's back over that way. All right, and the final hole, 18. All right, long tee position number 18. It runs parallel. Here's number 11 right over here. That's the short tee for number 11, so they're running right by each other. All right, so 18, we're just looking to throw it down, straight down, really just through this gap. And the basket's going to be back over here across the creek. Sometimes it'll be over here, but both shots require you to make a good straight throw and then have it fade off at the end. So if the basket's on the right, you want to throw a forehand. It's on the left, a nice hyzer shot. So straight through here, through this gap, but you can also see the short pin placement, tee placement. So I'm going to walk over here. And from this tee, you can see the basket. If the light's good, it's right across the little creek right there under those trees. I don't know if you can see it with the contrast. We're going to see it in a minute. So it's really just a nice, smooth finesse throw. Get it over the trees. There's about a 30-foot elevation change. It can be a little deceiving. So a lot of stuff goes right in the creek or goes blasting by the basket. Once again, this could be a little treacherous foot-wise. Just be careful going down. If you can't get across, landing in this grassy area is a great place to be, especially from the long position, so that you're not messing with the creek, putting your shot into jeopardy, because it will grab a disc. Right over here, grassy area, but the other pin placement will be right there. But everything wants to come flying over here. And from the elevation change, it looks like you're going to have a good shot, and it tends to be a little bit low, and you catch those roots. A lot of times you could cross this creek across the rocks, but we've had a lot of rain, so we have to go around. So we're just going to go around here. Also, if you're going to play this, be very careful on 18. A lot of people come down to this creek, walk through here with their dogs and stuff, so just be aware so you don't smack anybody hanging out here. Alright, so the final pin position sets it right here amongst these trees. Give you a look from here back up the hole. It's a pretty good dance floor back here, you know, the requisite trees that block your shot exactly where you land. But other than that, it's pretty nice little landing. And then depending on whether you parked over to the right, you can go over there, or you're back here on the back parking lot, hole number 1. You just simply come around here and head up the hill. Well, there you go. We made it through all 18, and thank you for sticking with me. I really hope this is helpful to you. That was my intention, is just to give you something that'll get you a jump start on this course. So please, if you found this helpful, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below, and hopefully I'll see you out here on the course. Take care.